What's up, gamers? How the heck are you? Welcome to another episode of Grounded. In today's video, we are going to be talking about mixers, what they are, what they do, what they give you, and the best overall tactic to use in order to conquer every single mixer in the game. Now, this is mixers, not super mixers. A later video will come out on super mixers, but right now, this is just the lower yard mixers, okay? All right, so Mix.Rs in this game are pretty much tower defense mini games that you can activate at your leisure whenever you feel like doing it. Basically, it creates a large sum of raw science, but while it's creating this raw science, it creates a ton of noise, pissing off every creature in the area that is more common to that area. So depending on where it's located, it causes different bugs to attack it. Basically, they want to destroy it because it's so loud. Now, if you do end up completing this, you will gain 2,000 raw science. If it's the first one you've ever encountered and you defeat it, you will also get a mutation called Guard Dog, which will help you in other defense standoffs in this game because it allows you to have a greater attack damage to anything that's attacking whatever you're defending. So, and as you complete more, you will gain higher phases of that mutation. So it is useful if you're doing any kind of defensive standoffs in the game, including base raids or these Mix.Rs. And if you do happen to fail, rest assured, as long as you have a repair tool on you, all you have to do is repair the mixer and activate it again. The whole thing will start over and you will be able to try again. Now, your whole goal is to set up a defense around the mixer in order to protect it for as long as you can until it completes its full cycle. Once it completes, the mission is over. Now, a tried and true method right now is the honeycomb method. Basically, it's where you build up two sets of walls and then you interlay walls in between those, basically creating more points of attack. But if an enemy gets through one side of the wall, they still have multiple walls to hit before they can finally reach the mixer. This is a method that's used for a majority of the mixers, but not all of them. Some of them are really simple that you don't need something as extravagant as this. But if it is something that you do want to use or you're finding very difficult using this method, it works great and wonders. Now, if you do want to wait later in the game, makes it a lot easier, especially when you get to mushroom walls and stuff like that, because they are so easy to just carry around in your inventory. And it just makes more sense because you don't have to lug grass planks or stems or anything like that. You can just easily carry a bunch of mushrooms with you. But that, may not be necessary for every single defense. We'll go through a bunch of the areas and just describe what defense you'll be looking at during this fight. So the first one you'll probably discover is the lower Grassland one. It is located next to the Red Ant Hill, or in between the Red Ant Hill and the Gnome. This one is fairly simple. You will only see red worker ants, red soldier ants, and mites. If you put up a few spike traps, they usually kill themselves on the spike traps anyway, and they're fairly easy to take down. This one is not difficult. I think this is probably like an introduction to this and showing you how it works, but they are fairly simple to take on. Don't worry about this one too much. Just be prepared for ants. And if you're by yourself, these are a lot simpler just because the game registers that you are a solo player, so it doesn't send an onslaught of a lot of creatures at you. But if you have teammates, it will be a lot more, so just keep that in mind. Moving on to the next one you'll probably find is the Hedge one. You can do this one now if you'd like to, but it does call in larvae, orb weaver juniors, and orb weavers. So be prepared for that. You will have a lot of spiders come in. This one can get kind of overwhelming because spiders do have rapid attack. They're a lot faster attacks than most creatures in the lower area. Now, you won't see any wolf spiders or anything like that, so just come with a spicy weapon. Put up your defensive walls and everything like that, and you should be fine. Just kind of take on each creature as they come as best you can. Try to get rid of them because they do come in waves. So if you can at least take out one wave, they won't start building up and you won't have a big onslaught of a bunch of creatures around you. Moving on to another one you'll find pretty early on, which is the Haze one. Now, the Haze can get difficult. I do recommend shutting off the Haze right off the bat just because you don't want to deal with that while you're trying to fight. But this one does also have the advantage of being tucked back into like a little nook area where you can create a single layer wall or just a straight wall, but you can still do the honeycomb method. Just use a straight wall. You don't have to build around it, because they will all just come from this frontal onslaught, so you won't have to worry about anything coming up from behind or anything like that. Now, you will have to deal with pretty much every infected creature in the game except for the infected wolf spider. You don't have to worry about him. Now, the things I would worry about here are the exploding ones. So the weevils may seem very simple, but if you get enough of them in one area and they all explode at once, they can do a ton of damage to walls. So just be prepared for that. Try to kill them as quickly as possible. Also, try to kill the ladybugs, just because they have the launching of all the explosives as well. You want to try to take them out pretty simply. Bursting weapons are probably the better choice here, just because they take out ladybugs pretty quickly. Fresh is also probably your best choice because it is what affects the infected the most. Some would say the one in the sandbox is the easiest, just because you probably take on about 10 creatures, 10 to 15 the entire time, and they come in only waves of 1 and 2. And they're pretty simple if you have a salted weapon with you. Basically, you just take on antlions. Antlions do hit really hard. So what you want to do is you want to push your walls pretty close in on the mixer, because antlions dig underground and they can pop up underneath it. But if the walls are really close, they can't get close to it. They still have to destroy the wall first. But like I said, you only have waves of 1 and waves of 2 that come in, and you'll only face probably about 10 to 15 of them during this whole entire fight. So bring a salty weapon and you burst them down pretty quickly. Morning Salt Star is one of the better weapons, in my opinion, to use during this fight. Takes them out pretty simple, unless you have like a salted club of the Mother Demon or something like that. Then yeah, you can use that. Also with this one, you probably want to take it on either at night or put on your antlion armor, just because the sizzle will be a nuisance during this fight. Now for probably the hardest one, if you're early on in the game and you haven't got to maybe some poison builds or stuff like that can get you some AoE, things like that, just because this is the one that's going to send in flying creatures, so you're going to have to deal with mosquitoes, and they're more difficult because they attack from the top, so you will have to fully cover your base if you can't take them down very quickly. Now, if you can handle them and take them down really quickly, maybe you won't have to fully cover the mixer, but if you have to, then you may have to cover the mixer, because you'll have to take on a bunch of mosquitoes at once, and they hit really hard with this machine. And if you get 3 or 4 of them bunched up and they all hit at once, they can take down the mixer pretty quickly. You also have black ants to deal with, and the black soldier ants can get to be a nuisance. So just be prepared for that. In all honesty, having a poison build later on, the one that like procs the Nova gas from your Mask of the Mother Demon and stuff like that, that is super beneficial here, just because you can infect a large sum of the mosquitoes at once, and you won't have to worry about them as much. Or if you can get a nice bow hit and stuff like that and start locking them down. Now, if you want to wait and for the full update to come out in a couple weeks or so, then we will have bow blocking, so that will make this a lot easier, more than likely. All right, guys, that's the video. I wanted to make this one very quick because these are not super difficult, and the whole point of this was just to make sure that you understood that you don't have to do these mixers right off the bat. They can wait till the end of the game if you like. It will make them a lot easier, because the super mixers are going to be already tough enough. There's no need for you to struggle through each one of these lower mixers, because you're going to have to struggle through the super mixers. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's like, oh, I ran through the super mixers like it was nothing. Well, great for you, but not everybody's going to do that, okay? The super mixers can be super difficult, but there are ways to make them better. I'm going to make a video on those in the future, and actually in the next couple days, I'll make a video on those and show you how to take those down really easily, or as easily as I can. Now, I will say that if you want to wait for the 1.1 release coming out, the holiday treat, I think it's called, some good things are going to be happening that will benefit defenses like this. One, bow blocking will be a thing, so you will be able to block with your bow, which is going to be super beneficial for any of the ones where you have flying creatures, or even some of the lower creatures that you can shoot from a distance and still block when they get up close. It's going to be super beneficial. We'll see how that works when that comes out. I'll be testing that out for sure. Also, you're going to get 100%, like when you demolish something, you'll get 100% of the resources back. That's not something you get right now. So if you build up bases around it, each time it is demolished or you take it down, you get 100% of that resource back. So you're not losing any resources on destroyed material. So you can honestly pack up a bunch of mushroom walls and stuff like that right off the bat, and maybe go to each location and just keep taking the same walls down and putting back up. So that's another tip that you guys can hold off on that. And if you're gonna ask about armor, ask about weapons, stuff like that, it's whatever you like at this point, to be honest with you, because if you're in later tiers of the game, it's honestly what you're gotten used to, because you're fighting lower tier creatures. At this point, orb weavers aren't that big of a deal, and that's your biggest threat in the most part. And like I said, with the flying stuff, if you got gas, poison gas or something like that you can protect yourself from and easily take them down, shoot, that'll probably be some of the better techniques, just because you want to take them down as fast as possible. Otherwise they're going to destroy your mixer. But like I said, waiting to the end of the game, or waiting not even to the end of the game, but waiting until you're at least in the upper yard where you're taking on the Black Ox beetles and stuff like that from the termite den area, then you're probably fine to take on the mixers, because they can be rather simple. Use the honeycomb technique. Make sure you're watching for the covering. Like I said, if you're by yourself, it's a lot easier. So just use some of these techniques, guys. If this was beneficial for you at all, please hit that like button below. If you found this interesting and you want to see more stuff from me, go ahead and consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to have you guys. I've been having a blast. It is super late right now, but I am still having an awesome time making these videos. I love making these videos. It's super fun for me. I hope you guys enjoy them. I hope you like them. If there's anything you guys want that you just haven't seen from me, please leave in the comments below. I'll try my best to make those videos. This is not a full-time job for me. I wish it was. Hopefully at some point I can get to that. But right now I have to balance this with my other life. So as long as I do that, but I would try to get as much content out as I can. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for all the love and support recently. If I don't see you guys, or if you don't watch any of my videos prior to the holidays, have a wonderful holidays of the upcoming holidays. For everybody here in America, you'll be celebrating Thanksgiving, and then we have Christmas right around the corner for the rest of the world. So just enjoy your holidays, enjoy the family time, take time to reflect on yourself, reflect on life, and enjoy the time with your loved ones. That's really what it's about. It's about enjoying time with your loved ones, regardless of what the holiday is. Enjoy the time with your loved ones. You guys take care. Have a wonderful holiday. I will gladly catch you in the next one. Peace out.